The air is thick with dust and a faint scent of ancient decay, as sunlight filters through cracks in a forgotten tomb. Every step echoes across cold stone chambers, revealing hieroglyphs that whisper secrets of a world long gone. Here, in the heart of Egypt, archaeologists have uncovered treasures of unimaginable wealth and beauty, yet some of these objects carry a shadow far darker than gold. Whispers of curses, mysterious deaths, and inexplicable misfortune surround these artifacts, challenging the very boundaries of reason. Science attempts to explain away the phenomena, mold, bacteria, accidents, but these explanations often fall short when confronted with a series of chilling coincidences that seem almost too precise to be random. Was it mere chance that Lord Carnarvon, the man who financed Tutankhamun's tomb excavation, died suddenly? Or that curators, collectors, and explorers who handled these relics faced untimely tragedies? Tonight, we will journey into the mysterious world of the Pharaohs' cursed artifacts, exploring the uneasy space between history and legend, fact and myth, life and death. As we peel back the layers of time, you may begin to wonder, are some secrets better left undisturbed, or are the stories of curses more real than anyone dares to admit? For thousands of years, the pharaohs ruled over the land of the Nile with an authority that seemed almost divine. They were more than kings, they were living gods, intermediaries between the earthly world and the eternal realm of the gods. Their word was law, their rituals sacred, and their tombs meticulously prepared to ensure that they would journey safely into the afterlife. Every artifact buried with them, from golden masks to ceremonial jewelry, was not merely decorative. It was imbued with profound symbolic power, intended to guide, protect, or sometimes even curse. The grandeur of these rulers was matched only by their obsession with immortality. They believed that death was not an end, but a transformation, and the objects placed in their tombs could influence fate itself. Elaborate funerary practices, spells etched into stone, and magical amulets were all part of a carefully orchestrated system designed to ensure the pharaoh's eternal dominance. To disturb these sacred arrangements was considered a grave offense, not only against the king but against the very balance of the universe. Archaeologists marvel at the precision of these preparations, but alongside all lies unease. Tales of those who dared to violate tombs often speak of sudden misfortune, illness, or even death. While skeptics point to environmental hazards or human error, the pattern is unsettling. Some artifacts seem to carry a hidden power that defies explanation. Was it the meticulous rituals of the ancient Egyptians that imbued these objects with energy beyond our comprehension, or is it human imagination, magnified by fear and legend? The pharaohs' power extended far beyond their reign, echoing through the millennia in every object they left behind. Gold and stone, meticulously carved and carefully placed, might conceal forces that modern science struggles to quantify. These were not merely objects, they were vessels of intention, relics of belief, and perhaps, instruments of curses that could strike long after their creators had vanished. To truly understand the mystery of these cursed artifacts, one must first grasp the worldview of the pharaohs themselves. Their society, their religion, and their understanding of life and death laid the foundation for phenomena that continue to baffle historians, scientists, and explorers alike. As we move deeper into the tombs and the stories surrounding them, the line between historical fact and chilling legend begins to blur, drawing us ever closer to the heart of the pharaohs' enduring power, and the dark mysteries they left behind. The thrill of discovery is intoxicating. For archaeologists unearthing the secrets of ancient Egypt, each tomb is a time capsule, a silent witness to a civilization that valued life, death, and the mysteries beyond. But amidst the splendor of golden masks, jewel-encrusted amulets, and intricately carved statues, there is a darker story, one that history textbooks rarely tell. Many of the treasures that have captivated the world carry a shadow of misfortune, a whisper of curses that seem to follow anyone who dares to disturb their resting places. The most famous case remains the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. Howard Carter's excitement upon opening the sealed burial chamber was palpable, revealing treasures that had lain untouched for over 3 millennia. Yet, the triumph was swiftly overshadowed by tragedy. Lord Carnarvon, the expedition's sponsor, died shortly after the tomb's opening, struck down by a mysterious infection. Newspapers around the globe sensationalized the story, coining the phrase, "the curse of the pharaoh." But the phenomenon was not isolated. Accounts of other tombs revealed a chilling pattern. Explorers, archaeologists, and collectors reported sudden illnesses, bizarre accidents, and even untimely deaths after handling ancient artifacts. Science offers explanations: toxic molds thriving in sealed tombs, bacteria hidden in the soil, and accidents in precarious excavation sites. But these rational arguments often fail to account for the sheer consistency and eerie timing of such incidents. Curators in museums handling these relics sometimes experience inexplicable misfortune. Private collectors report a string of personal tragedies tied to their possessions, as if the objects themselves carry an unseen weight. The line between coincidence and curse begins to blur. Beyond Tutankhamun, lesser-known tombs reveal artifacts with strange histories. Golden amulets that vanish mysteriously, statues that inspire dread in those who handle them, and ceremonial objects whose journeys through time seem marked by misfortune. Each discovery invites questions: were these artifacts intended as protective talismans, or did they carry deliberate warnings meant to deter grave robbers? The meticulous rituals of the pharaohs suggest a belief in the object's enduring power, a force that modern humans may neither fully understand nor control. Every excavation is a delicate balance between awe and fear. The thrill of holding an object that once belonged to a civilization obsessed with death and immortality is tempered by the knowledge that countless individuals before have faced inexplicable consequences. It is as if these artifacts serve as silent sentinels, guardians of secrets too dangerous for casual hands. The more we uncover, the more we confront the unsettling possibility that the curses are not mere superstition, but a lingering force embedded within the very objects themselves. The discovery of these cursed artifacts forces us to confront the limits of human understanding. History and legend intertwine, leaving us to wonder whether science alone can explain phenomena that have haunted explorers for generations. The tombs of the pharaohs hold beauty, mystery, and perhaps an ancient, unyielding power, an enduring reminder that some secrets may never be meant for the living, and that some artifacts carry a cost far beyond their material value. Every cursed artifact discovered in Egypt presents a paradox. On one hand, science strives to provide rational explanations: mold spores thriving in the dark tombs, toxic bacteria lingering in sealed sarcophagi, and the inherent dangers of ancient, unstable structures. Modern researchers have pointed to infections, accidents, and human error as the likely causes behind many misfortunes. Yet, even the most meticulous studies cannot account for the timing, consistency, or sheer coincidence of certain events. Why, for instance, do some individuals fall victim immediately after touching an object while others remain unharmed? The discrepancy fuels the tension between scientific reasoning and supernatural speculation. Consider the death of Lord Carnarvon, who developed a mysterious infection days after entering Tutankhamun's tomb. While some argue that an infected mosquito or contaminated scratch caused his demise, others note that his death fits an eerie pattern observed across decades of tomb discoveries. Curators, collectors, and archaeologists have reported a series of unexplained accidents and illnesses surrounding these artifacts, sometimes clustered around a single object or tomb. The regularity of such events defies simple probability, leaving room for speculation that some force beyond human understanding may be at play. Believers in the supernatural argue that the pharaohs imbued these objects with protective or punitive power through rituals, spells, and incantations meant to safeguard the dead. Ancient Egyptian funerary texts describe consequences for those who disturb sacred spaces, implying an awareness of forces that could extend beyond life itself. Whether these were metaphors, psychological deterrents, or real mystical mechanisms remains unknown. What is certain, however, is that fear of curses has persisted across generations, influencing human behavior and shaping the legacy of these artifacts. The tension between science and superstition is compounded by human perception. Cognitive biases, fear, and expectation often amplify minor coincidences into chilling narratives. Yet, when multiple independent accounts converge around a single artifact, skepticism wavers. Museums worldwide house objects whose histories include bizarre accidents or misfortunes. Even when science can provide a potential explanation, it often cannot capture the visceral unease that accompanies handling these relics, a sensation reported by explorers and curators alike. This conflict between rationality and mystery is central to the allure of the Pharaohs' cursed artifacts. On one side, empirical analysis seeks to debunk the myths, on the other, the stories persist, suggesting a force, hidden in plain sight, that science cannot fully measure. As we continue to explore both historical accounts and modern encounters, the boundaries between fact and legend blur, creating a space where curiosity and dread coexist. It is within this uneasy balance that the true mystery resides, compelling us to ask, are these curses merely coincidence amplified by fear, or do the artifacts themselves harbor a power beyond comprehension? Some discoveries of cursed Egyptian artifacts transcended archaeology and entered the realm of global legend, shocking the world with their uncanny consequences. Perhaps the most infamous is the story of Tutankhamun's tomb. When Howard Carter and Lord Carnarvon unveiled the treasures hidden for over 3 millennia, they expected fame and fortune. Instead, tragedy struck swiftly. Carnarvon's sudden death from a mysterious infection catapulted the idea of the Pharaoh's curse into headlines worldwide. Newspapers described it as divine retribution for disturbing the sacred resting place of the young king, and the story captivated the public imagination, creating a legend that persists to this day. Yet Tutankhamun's tomb was not the only sight to yield chilling stories. Archaeologists exploring lesser-known tombs reported accidents that defied ordinary explanation, scaffolding collapsing without cause, tools vanishing mysteriously, and team members suffering sudden illnesses or injuries. Private collectors, too, claimed that objects they acquired carried a series of inexplicable misfortunes, from financial ruin to family tragedies. Each story, when pieced together, paints a pattern that seems too precise to dismiss as mere coincidence. One particularly eerie example comes from the tale of the Unas pyramid artifacts. Scholars who handled ceremonial statues and amulets found their lives marked by strange events, fires breaking out in homes, objects disappearing, and inexplicable psychological disturbances. Museums that received such artifacts sometimes reported bizarre phenomena, including unexplained electrical failures, sudden accidents, or curators falling ill. Although skeptics offered rational explanations like stress, environmental hazards, or simple chance, the repetition of these incidents around specific objects remains deeply unsettling. The fame of these cases amplified the fear surrounding Egyptian artifacts. Stories circulated in books, newspapers, and journals, often with sensationalized details that blurred the line between documented events and legend. Yet when examining the timelines and circumstances, a disturbing pattern emerges: those who engaged directly with the artifacts, excavating, transporting, or displaying them, were disproportionately affected. Whether it was illness, accident, or psychological distress, the coincidences were too frequent to ignore. Modern analysis attempts to reconcile these famous cases with scientific reasoning. Historians, epidemiologists, and archaeologists scrutinize environmental factors, pathogens, and workplace hazards, yet many of the reported incidents resist explanation. This persistent mystery fuels fascination and horror in equal measure. The artifacts, once admired solely for their beauty and craftsmanship, became symbols of an invisible force, a haunting reminder that some objects carry histories not just of human achievement but of human misfortune. Famous cases like these do more than shock, they challenge our perception of reality. They compel us to ask whether ancient rituals were imbued with a power that transcends time, and whether modern science, with all its rigor, is capable of fully comprehending the forces at play. The world may remember the grandeur of the Pharaohs, but these stories remind us that alongside glory lies danger, an ancient warning etched in stone and gold, waiting to claim the unwary. Beyond the headlines of Tutankhamun and famous tombs lies a vast collection of lesser-known artifacts whose stories are equally chilling. These objects, often small amulets, ceremonial statues, or forgotten relics, carry histories that are easily overlooked yet no less mysterious. Archaeologists and collectors who have handled them report strange occurrences, objects disappearing without explanation, accidents occurring during transport, or psychological disturbances affecting those in close proximity. Each artifact seems to carry a legacy of misfortune, as if the pharaoh's intentions were embedded not only in the grandeur of tombs but in the minutiae of their possessions. One example comes from a golden amulet discovered in the tomb of an obscure noble. The object was transported to a museum for study, but shortly after its arrival, a series of odd incidents began: electrical failures in nearby equipment, inexplicable illness among staff, and even sudden fires that damaged archival rooms. Similar stories have emerged from private collections, where objects that were once treasured as beautiful relics became sources of persistent dread. The persistence of such reports fuels controversy, suggesting a reality that straddles the line between observable science and the unexplained. Believers, on the other hand, argue that the pharaohs intentionally embedded their power into objects through meticulous ritual, incantation, and spiritual preparation. Ancient texts frequently warned of consequences for intruders, suggesting a deliberate design to protect the tombs. From amulets to statues, objects were more than ornamental, they were conduits of intention, crafted to influence both the living and the afterlife. Supporters of the supernatural theory assert that this energy or intent may remain active across centuries, manifesting as misfortune for those who violate sacred protocols. Complicating matters further are fringe theories that intertwine archaeology, mysticism, and conspiracy. Some suggest that certain artifacts were created with advanced knowledge lost to modern civilization, technology or energy sources unknown to contemporary science. Others propose that curses are psychological phenomena, amplified by media coverage and cultural storytelling, yet triggered by real, inexplicable events. These theories, while controversial, maintain the allure and mystery of the artifacts, drawing curiosity-driven audiences into debate and speculation. Ultimately, the controversy lies in the tension between belief and proof. Every artifact, every tomb, and every incident challenges us to question the limits of understanding. Were these curses deliberate expressions of divine power, remnants of a lost science, or manifestations of human imagination? Perhaps the truth exists somewhere in between, where psychology, history, ritual, and environmental factors converge to create experiences that feel both real and terrifying. The debate ensures that the allure of the pharaoh's artifacts endures, captivating minds with the tantalizing possibility that some mysteries remain beyond the reach of modern knowledge. By examining these theories and controversies, we begin to understand why the pharaoh's cursed artifacts continue to fascinate the world. They are not just relics of a bygone era, they are symbols of human curiosity, fear, and the eternal desire to touch the unknown. In the intersection of science, legend, and belief, these objects remain as enigmatic today as they were thousands of years ago, daring us to question how much of history is history, and how much is something far more mysterious. Scholars attempting to trace the cause often find nothing tangible, yet the consistency of these reports cannot be easily dismissed. These lesser-known artifacts highlight an important truth: the curse of the pharaohs is not reserved for the famous or historically significant. Even minor objects, seemingly insignificant in material value, can carry a disproportionate weight of mystery. Their histories are peppered with strange coincidences and uncanny events, challenging both scientific rationality and the limits of human understanding. Perhaps it is the meticulous rituals performed on all objects intended for burial, regardless of size or status, that imbued them with lingering energy or influence. The journey of these objects through time is equally unsettling. Many have passed from tomb to excavation site, from collector to museum, often leaving a trail of unease and misfortune in their wake. Tales of vanished statues, unexplained damage, and psychological strain accompany these journeys, suggesting that the objects themselves may harbor a force beyond ordinary explanation. Even skeptics find themselves unsettled when confronted with multiple independent accounts pointing to the same artifact. Exploring these lesser-known cursed objects expands our understanding of the pharaoh's power. It reveals that the danger and mystery surrounding ancient Egyptian artifacts is not limited to gold, fame, or grandeur. It extends to every object touched by ritual, every item buried with care, and perhaps every piece intended to guide the dead. As we consider these stories, the line between superstition and reality blurs further, and the shadows of the past creep into the present, leaving a haunting question: how much of what we dismiss as legend is, in truth, a warning etched in time, waiting for the unsuspecting to disturb it? To understand why certain artifacts are said to be cursed, one must first immerse themselves in the spiritual and magical worldview of ancient Egypt. The Egyptians believed that life extended far beyond the physical realm, and that death was a transition into an eternal existence. Magic, or Heka, was not superstition, it was an essential force that permeated everyday life, governance, and death rituals. Every object buried with the dead, every hieroglyph etched into stone, and every incantation recited during funerary rites had purpose, intention, and power. Pharaohs and nobles invested great care in their burial objects, imbuing them with spells meant to protect, guide, or even punish. Protective amulets were crafted to shield the deceased from harm in the afterlife, while curses were often inscribed to ward off tomb robbers. Texts from ancient Egyptian tombs are filled with warnings, threats of death, disease, and misfortune for anyone who dared disturb the resting place of the dead. These inscriptions were no mere formalities, they reflected a deeply held belief in the tangible power of words and symbols. The persistence of such reports fuels controversy, suggesting a reality that straddles the line between observable science and the unexplained. Believers, on the other hand, argue that the pharaohs intentionally embedded their power into objects through meticulous ritual, incantation, and spiritual preparation. Ancient texts frequently warned of consequences for intruders, suggesting a deliberate design to protect the tombs. From amulets to statues, objects were more than ornamental, they were conduits of intention, crafted to influence both the living and the afterlife. Supporters of the supernatural theory assert that this energy or intent may remain active across centuries, manifesting as misfortune for those who violate sacred protocols. Complicating matters further are fringe theories that intertwine archaeology, mysticism, and conspiracy. Some suggest that certain artifacts were created with advanced knowledge lost to modern civilization, technology or energy sources unknown to contemporary science. Others propose that curses are psychological phenomena, amplified by media coverage and cultural storytelling, yet triggered by real, inexplicable events. These theories, while controversial, maintain the allure and mystery of the artifacts, drawing curiosity-driven audiences into debate and speculation. Ultimately, the controversy lies in the tension between belief and proof. Every artifact, every tomb, and every incident challenges us to question the limits of understanding. Were these curses deliberate expressions of divine power, remnants of a lost science, or manifestations of human imagination? Perhaps the truth exists somewhere in between, where psychology, history, ritual, and environmental factors converge to create experiences that feel both real and terrifying. The debate ensures that the allure of the pharaoh's artifacts endures, captivating minds with the tantalizing possibility that some mysteries remain beyond the reach of modern knowledge. By examining these theories and controversies, we begin to understand why the pharaoh's cursed artifacts continue to fascinate the world. They are not just relics of a bygone era, they are symbols of human curiosity, fear, and the eternal desire to touch the unknown. In the intersection of science, legend, and belief, these objects remain as enigmatic today as they were thousands of years ago, daring us to question how much of history is history, and how much is something far more mysterious. The rituals surrounding burial were meticulous and precise. Priests performed elaborate ceremonies, invoking gods and harnessing mystical energies, ensuring that the pharaoh or noble could navigate the perilous journey to eternity. Objects placed in tombs were not just ornamental, they were conduits of magical intent. The same golden amulet or intricately carved statue could serve both as protection for the deceased and as a mechanism to enforce divine justice upon intruders. This duality, the blend of benevolent guidance and punitive potential, may explain why some artifacts are linked to strange or deadly occurrences. Even today, researchers note that the energy or intent placed upon these objects may have psychological and physiological effects on those who come into contact with them. Handling objects that were once considered sacred or dangerous can create unease, anxiety, and heightened sensitivity to environmental cues. Combined with the power of storytelling, this can amplify the sense of a curse in real-world settings. Whether through spiritual force, environmental factors, or human perception, the effects of these artifacts are undeniable and enduring. By examining the ancient Egyptian understanding of magic and protection, we begin to see why these objects continue to fascinate and terrify. They were designed not merely as possessions but as vessels of immense power, bridging the living and the dead, the mortal and the divine. Every amulet, statue, and sarcophagus carried intent that transcended time, leaving a trail of mystery that persists today. The belief in magic and the sacred power of words and symbols helps explain why curses associated with the Pharaohs' artifacts are more than legend, they are echoes of an ancient worldview, still reverberating through the present. Even in the modern world, the legacy of the Pharaohs' artifacts continues to inspire fascination and fear. Museums, private collections, and archaeological sites remain the stages for encounters that challenge scientific explanation. Curators report strange sensations while handling certain objects, sudden chills, unexplained shadows, or an overwhelming sense of dread. Some artifacts seem to exert a presence, as if the centuries-old intentions embedded in their creation still resonate, reaching across time to affect the living. One chilling modern case involves a private collector who acquired a set of ceremonial statuettes from an obscure tomb. Within weeks, multiple employees fell ill with unusual symptoms, accidents began occurring in the building, and valuable items inexplicably disappeared. Despite careful investigation, no environmental or chemical explanation sufficed. Stories like this are echoed in smaller museums and archaeological facilities worldwide, where objects move quietly from display to storage, leaving a trail of unexplained occurrences. Technology has allowed us to study these artifacts more closely than ever before, yet the results are often inconclusive. X-rays, chemical analysis, and microbiological testing can identify toxins, bacterial growth, or structural instability, but they cannot measure the psychological or seemingly supernatural impact that has been repeatedly reported. When multiple independent observers experience similar phenomena surrounding the same object, doubt creeps in. Perhaps there is more at play than mere chance. Some modern scholars suggest that these ongoing mysteries are not solely about curses but about human perception and expectation. When history, superstition, and storytelling converge, ordinary events may take on extraordinary significance. Still, when accidents cluster around a single artifact or collection, even the most skeptical investigators hesitate. The stories of misfortune are too consistent, too persistent, to dismiss entirely, leaving a lingering unease that resonates with visitors and professionals alike. These modern encounters reinforce a haunting idea: the power of the Pharaohs' artifacts may be timeless. Objects crafted with intention, imbued with rituals and spells, and safeguarded with warnings have transcended centuries. Whether through spiritual resonance, psychological influence, or forces yet to be understood, the artifacts continue to remind us of the ancient Egyptian reverence for death, protection, and the unknown. The line between myth and reality blurs, inviting us to question whether some relics are more than historical treasures. They are conduits of mystery, waiting to test the limits of human understanding once more. The Pharaohs' artifacts have long sparked debate, dividing scholars, scientists, and enthusiasts into camps of rationalists and believers. On one side, skeptics argue that curses are nothing more than coincidences, amplified by human psychology and sensationalist reporting. They point to environmental hazards, pathogens, and accidents as logical explanations for the misfortunes surrounding tombs and artifacts. Statistical analysis, they claim, shows that tragedies attributed to curses occur no more frequently than in other high-risk occupations or activities. Science, in this view, offers reassurance: there is no mystical force at work, only natural cause and effect. Yet, the skeptic's perspective cannot fully account for the patterns reported over decades. Those who have directly handled these objects often describe experiences that seem impossible to rationalize: sudden illnesses, equipment failures, and bizarre psychological effects that appear to target specific individuals. Even when multiple independent witnesses confirm these phenomena, skepticism persists, because they defy measurable parameters. The persistence of such reports fuels controversy, suggesting a reality that straddles the line between observable science and the unexplained. Believers, on the other hand, argue that the pharaohs intentionally embedded their power into objects through meticulous ritual, incantation, and spiritual preparation. Ancient texts frequently warned of consequences for intruders, suggesting a deliberate design to protect the tombs. From amulets to statues, objects were more than ornamental, they were conduits of intention, crafted to influence both the living and the afterlife. Supporters of the supernatural theory assert that this energy or intent may remain active across centuries, manifesting as misfortune for those who violate sacred protocols. Complicating matters further are fringe theories that intertwine archaeology, mysticism, and conspiracy. Some suggest that certain artifacts were created with advanced knowledge lost to modern civilization, technology or energy sources unknown to contemporary science. Others propose that curses are psychological phenomena, amplified by media coverage and cultural storytelling, yet triggered by real, inexplicable events. These theories, while controversial, maintain the allure and mystery of the artifacts, drawing curiosity-driven audiences into debate and speculation. Ultimately, the controversy lies in the tension between belief and proof. Every artifact, every tomb, and every incident challenges us to question the limits of understanding. Were these curses deliberate expressions of divine power, remnants of a lost science, or manifestations of human imagination? Perhaps the truth exists somewhere in between, where psychology, history, ritual, and environmental factors converge to create experiences that feel both real and terrifying. The debate ensures that the allure of the pharaohs' artifacts endures, captivating minds with the tantalizing possibility that some mysteries remain beyond the reach of modern knowledge. By examining these theories and controversies, we begin to understand why the pharaohs' cursed artifacts continue to fascinate the world. They are not just relics of a bygone era, they are symbols of human curiosity, fear, and the eternal desire to touch the unknown. In the intersection of science, legend, and belief, these objects remain as enigmatic today as they were thousands of years ago, daring us to question how much of history is history, and how much is something far more mysterious. As we stand before the remnants of ancient Egypt, surrounded by artifacts that have survived millennia, one cannot help but feel the weight of history, and the shadow of mystery. The cursed objects of the pharaohs are more than mere relics, they are silent witnesses to a civilization obsessed with life, death, and the unseen forces that govern both. From golden amulets to intricately carved statues, each artifact carries a story of power, protection, and sometimes peril, bridging the chasm between the living and the dead. Throughout history, countless individuals, archaeologists, collectors, curators, and explorers, have encountered these artifacts and, in doing so, have become part of their enduring legend. Sudden illnesses, bizarre accidents, and inexplicable events have been recorded repeatedly, defying the logic of science while reinforcing the tales of curses woven into Egyptian tradition. Even today, modern encounters continue to mystify and unsettle, reminding us that some forces may transcend time, rationality, and understanding. The tension between skepticism and belief is central to this enduring fascination. Science can explain environmental hazards, pathogens, and human error, yet it cannot fully measure the psychological, symbolic, or perhaps even supernatural impact that these artifacts exert. At the same time, ancient Egyptian rituals, incantations, and warnings hint at a deliberate understanding of forces beyond mortal comprehension. The line between history and myth blurs, leaving us suspended in a liminal space where curiosity and dread coexist. Reflecting on these cursed objects, we see that they are more than cautionary tales, they are reminders of humanity's enduring quest to understand the unknown. They challenge our assumptions, question our limits, and provoke a sense of awe that persists across generations. The pharaoh's treasures, meticulously prepared and carefully hidden, continue to exert influence not through wealth or beauty alone, but through the stories, warnings, and mysteries embedded within them. As the tombs lie silent and the artifacts endure, one question lingers: are the curses simply coincidences magnified by legend, or do these objects retain a force beyond human understanding? Perhaps the truth resides somewhere in the delicate balance between fact and myth, science and superstition. Whatever the answer, the artifacts of the pharaohs continue to captivate, terrify, and inspire. They invite us to peer into the shadows of history, to confront our own fears, and to wonder whether some secrets are meant to remain undisturbed. The legacy of the pharaohs is eternal, and with it, the mystery of their cursed treasures remains alive, echoing through time, awaiting the next curious soul brave enough to uncover their secrets.